Cougs house. It was not pretty, but sometimes it doesn't have to be, as Houston holds on to beat Towson 65-48 behind 20 points from freshman phenom Kingston Flemings.
You are Locked On Coogs, your daily podcast on the Houston Cougars, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Coogs. I'm your host, Parker Ainsworth, and thank you for making the Locked On Podcast Network the number one sports podcast network in the world. I'm going to break down quickly Houston versus Towson. Big 65-48 win, but it was much closer than that late. I want to talk some about how Kingston Flemings helped dominate this win, and I'll talk about if I think the Houston Cougars are in trouble or not. Today's show is brought to you by our folks over at DoorDash, and we got more on that fun later. Now, I've got a lot of things and thoughts on this one swirling. I really want to watch it with a lower heart rate later because I think a lot of us got really up in our feels over the course of this one because Houston was close. It was a 5.4-point game late in this one. Felt a lot like Kent State a few years ago, if you remember from the American Athletic Conference days. Houston had a non-conference game against Kent State that was way too close. They had similar games against Oral Roberts back then as well. But Houston drew this out. And winning ugly is a thing that sometimes college basketball teams have to do on a weird Saturday afternoon, 2:00 game, early in the season, eyes looking at Auburn potentially next weekend, right? Like, very easy to understand how Houston would be a little distracted in this one. Now, based on how things went today, I don't think Houston can look past Oakland between now and Auburn next weekend. But I will say that I thought that they found ways to win a gritty, ugly, tough game, even with things like early foul trouble out of Emanuel Sharp. Emanuel Sharp is the leader of this team. And I don't mean this in a way that is dissenting to that. But man, oh man, I did think that honestly, we saw how much they need he and Jojo and Milos on the floor at various points of this game. His foul trouble early, I think, kind of let a lot of offense stagnate, and it kind of carried over into the second half. Jojo Tugler, in a similar vein, had a couple times where he came up, a little gingerly or sore, or maybe even like a tweak of this or that. I'm sure we'll hear more about that over the course of the next few days, right? Ultimately, when he was off the floor, Houston's defense suffered. Khalifa Sacco is strong, and he's going to be very good, but he's still adjusting to the new expectations as a Houston Cougar big man, right? Jojo Tugler has been the Conference Defensive Player of the Year, right? Those are very different levels of play in this one. Houston found ways to get it done, though, and honestly, I would point to the defensive effort in the first half. I mean, at one point, it was 21-8. That, to me, would indicate, like, they were in control of this game for large stretches of it and just couldn't quite get things going. They made freshman mistakes. They played a lot of the young guys, especially when you include Mercy Miller and Chase McCarty in that for large stretches of this game. I like what Mercy and Chase bring, but they definitely make freshman mistakes at times. Chase probably makes less, if we're being honest, which is a weird thing, considering he's the redshirt guy, did not play last year. But Mercy's probably the better scorer, too. Natural move in the lane when he went from right hand to left hand. Really, really pretty shot early as well. But the story of this game, as far as the young guys go, was that Kingston Flemings played so well, you kind of forget he's a young guy. 20 points in 36 minutes with 3 assists and a couple of rebounds as well. A couple steals, made big-time play, and then he didn't get credit for the steal when he and Sinak, I guess, had the trap on the corner that led to a dunk of Flemings's. But he looked everything but a freshman in this one, and that's, I think, why he got to be on the floor for so long. He and Milos shared the backcourt for, I mean, Kingston played 36 and Milos played 39, so their entire time played almost the entire game together in this one. And when you saw both guys on the floor, you did see Houston play at an elevated pace, and even the more veteran guys, I think, are adjusting to how Houston will play at that kind of a pace over the course of a basketball game. Emanuel Sharp, didn't have his didn't have his 3-point shot. He was 2 of 7 from behind the arc. Milos is 3 of 12. Those things will even out. What I would be more concerned about is that we got to make sure that we keep those 2 early fouls from Emanuel, spread them out more over the course of the game. Right now, I mentioned that Kingston Flemings dominated this game. He should be every headline because of the trio of top 20 freshmen, and I don't want to leave Bryce Jackson out. It appears he may end up redshirting, right? Of the trio of top-tier freshman coming into the program. Kingston is kind of the one that on the national radar had less discussion around him because he was a Texas guy, Texas public school guy at that in Texas and Houston specifically. Everyone loves him, but this is kind of a coming out. It was ESPN Plus. It's not quite the same as it will be when he plays against Auburn in about a week, but this was kind of, excuse me, a chance for people to get to know him. I am a little under the weather, so bear with me for a second. I did not want to not talk about this game. Chris Sinak had freshman moments. He only shot the ball 1 of 8 from the field, 0 of 3 from behind the arc. And I think that's where you see the freshman stuff show up. But, having trouble making shots at a fast college-paced basketball game. I thought defensively, though, he also looked a little bit wiser than his years in this basketball game. And so I think that's one of those moments where you see the guys that Houston goes after, those 5-star guys, are just a little bit different than other 5-star guys. As far as other bench guys coming in goes, only saw a few minutes from Adam Sedlot, only saw a few minutes out of Ramon Walker. And I think what you saw was a tightening of the rotation. And what I'm paying attention to in this game is when Houston does tighten that rotation, what does it look like and who are they bringing in? And the guy was Chase McCarty. I think Chase's flexibility as far as positions helps a lot there. He can guard a lot of positions. He can, frankly, play offense at a couple different spots as well. And his flexibility played a key role in this basketball game. EI Crabtree 7-7 says solid win, a lot of growing pains, but man, Kingston effing Flemings. Assume the effing is for the love of God, Flemings. I cannot stress. First, obviously, full disclosure, Kingston has been on the program before. Kingston's a kid I really like, and so maybe there's some bias in this. I think this team's ceiling is wherever Kingston can push it. You know what you've got returning. You've got a one-and-done guy in Chris Sinak. But Kingston as that 5th starter is kind of the ceiling on this team. And he showed today that ceiling is really, really high. Not just because he literally levitates in the air when he wants to, but because he's just a more mature basketball player. Think about how, Coach Sampson says all the time, there are 3 guys that cannot have a bad practice: the head coach, the best player, and the point guard. And right now they're handing that point guard role over to an 18-year-old kid. And he's handling it well. And look, I understand this game was closer late than it needed to be, but that was not because of Kingston. It was because of a lot of other things, frankly. Kingston's the reason it pulled out like it did. He's just such a tremendous player to get to watch. And if you're looking for what is Parker talking about? I know he got 20 points, but watch the way he moves his hips and feet on defense. It is always between the ball in the basket, and then on the help side is always, always, always moving. He is really a special, special player. And so the last thing I want to leave here with is that people act like, is Houston in trouble, right? They were only up 4 or 5 points late against Towson, and Towson may be a tournament team. They may win the CAA, but they're not like a juggernaut. They're not even a mid-major juggernaut. They're a team that's got some good talent that, again, maybe they're in March. And I would frankly look at them today like they probably will be there in March and win that conference, right? And my answer is no, I'm not worried. This is a team with a lot of youth, a lot of inexperience. Of the guys they played this year, or they played today, 3 of them were not in the uniform last year because Chase McCarty was also not in uniform last year. He was redshirted. Ramon was injured for most of the year last year. He's taken his feet under him in a lot of ways. He's a veteran. Saka was at Sam Houston State last year. Mercy Miller was a true freshman last year. This program is playing a lot of guys that, while they have those 3 studs that are returning starters from the national title appearance last year, right? The rest of the rotation is not. And we're seeing that team grow in front of our eyes. And I would sit on the 10-0 run this team responded with in a close spot there at the end, more so than the fact that the shooting was not great, 41% from the field, 25% from behind the arc. Those things will even out over the course of the year. Having the gutso to pull out a 10-0 run like that in the final few minutes to make sure they extended this lead and really took control of this game like they should have, especially if they jumped on them early. It'd be very natural for a young and experienced team to kind of lose that luster. I thought was really, really impressive. So as we jump over to the DoorDash player of the game, it's the weekend, it's Saturday. If you're looking for what to do, you can get it on a DoorDash streak this Saturday, saving more every time you order, just like the players deliver when it matters most. Let's break down the player of the day for DoorDash. Is obviously Kingston Flemings, the Houston Cougars, 20 points, couple of assists, couple of rebounds. Man, oh man, he was in command of things defensively and scored the ball well as well. When the pressure's on, Kingston came through, no hesitation, no delay. And if you've been watching this kind of thing evolve and watch Kingston last year, this is not just a fluke. Kingston is kind of starting his season on a hot streak. And just like Kingston Lemons delivers to the Cougs, DoorDash delivers your Saturdays with DoorDash streaks. You save every Saturday you order. Stack it up all season long, and you can save up $250, including $100 in DoorDash credits. Order this Saturday. Keep the streak alive. Fuel your game day only with DoorDash streaks. Terms apply. Promo goes through November 18th. This has been Locked On Cougs. Again, we'll be breaking things down on Monday morning, football and basketball both. I want to get a second watch Sunday and get some second watch All-Stars kind of deals going. So make sure you tune in to the channel for a lot of conversation on that. We got Oakland and Auburn, all kinds of basketball games to break down next week. We had a bye week in football, some fun stuff up ahead. So make sure you subscribe to the channel. Hit the like, hit subscribe so you know, and hit the bell, I guess, so you know when we go live. Locked On Coogs, remember the Locked On Podcast Network, the #1 sports podcast network in the world. Thanks for tuning in, and go freaking Cougs.